How's that for your first shot of the day at Pacific Beach time right now? 6:45, 63 degrees outside. Well, you know, we're pretty excited about this. Daylight saving time is scheduled to end tomorrow morning. That means we fall back and you get an extra hour of sleep. But one measure could change how California goes about this time change, springing forward and then falling back. Prop 7 would allow the state legislature to change daylight saving time in a way that's consistent with federal law. And here to tell us more about the pros and cons of Prop 7 and the health benefits of this staying consistent throughout the year. She's from Scripps Health, and her name, Dr. Kristen Richards. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, first of all, let us understand what Prop 7 is saying, because as we were talking about in the break, it's not so much daylight saving time, it's Pacific Standard Time.
Right. So Proposition 7 would take us from going back and forth every 6 months from daylight savings time to Pacific Standard Time to just straight Pacific Standard Time throughout the entire year, which would allow us to stay on the same schedule every single day without disrupting our sleep cycle.
As someone who covets her sleep, being that we work a morning show, and a mom, I hate the time change because it's hard. We get into a schedule and then we have to adapt to a new schedule, which isn't easy, but apparently there are some true health impacts on our bodies as well. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, that's really interesting. You wouldn't think an hour forward or an hour back would make that much difference, but it really does mess with your body system. So you see changes in your hormone regulation, you see changes in your mood, you see changes in your body temperature, and all of those things can really affect your health.
Is there any way to catch up on sleep? Can you gain that hour back?
You really can't. Once you've lost it, you've lost it. And the data has shown that the Monday following daylight savings time, there's an increase in fatal car crashes, there's an increase in ischemic stroke and cardiac issues, and actually people's mood changes. We see increases in depression, increases in anxiety and irritability, especially in teenagers. So this measure could actually save us a lot of grief and help us to get back to a healthier state.
You know, Jason found an article this morning in USA Today that talked about some hospitals actually losing data because of this hour loss. Talk to me about that.
Right, yeah, so that period from 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. is completely lost electronically. All of the vital signs that you would normally have in your system magically disappear during that transition from daylight savings to standard time. So what they end up doing is using paper charting during that transition. It would be so much easier if hospitals didn't have to do that throughout the year.
Doesn't it seem strange that it's taken the legislator this long to come up with this idea, just to put us on a routine schedule?
Yes, I mean, daylight savings time makes sense if you live in a farming community and you need that extra hour of daylight. However, the majority of Americans don't live in that community and don't really need that extra time. Daylight savings time started in 1916. So a whole 100 years later, it might be time to change things.
All right, so as far as these health risks, are these across the board, or are we seeing a bigger impact in the really young and the really old, or is it just everybody?
You know, most people who have heart attacks and strokes are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. However, the mood changes, the increase in depression, the increase in anxiety and irritability happen mostly in the young, the teenagers. And in fact, in 2021, the school board is going to change the start time of all schools to 8:50 a.m. to try to alleviate that problem in teenagers and kids.
What about the productivity? Because I mean, trying to get a kid up and going early in the morning and then you take away an hour in the spring, what happens to their productivity level?
Yeah, you know, our bodies really respond to light. That wakes us up. If there's no light in the morning, our body temperature is down, we feel less awake, we're unable to wake up the way we normally wake up with the stimulus of light. So I don't think that for teenagers in particular, that's especially difficult, and I don't think that having that the lack of light during the day is helpful.
Okay, so Prop 7, if it's approved, that would put us all on the same schedule as a federal standard, which would put us, when we spring forward, we would stay there and we wouldn't change again.
Right, we would have the same time throughout the year.
All right. Well, you've heard it as far as the health benefits go from the doctor herself. So thanks so much for waking up early and joining us this morning. All right, well, we've got the first week of postseason high school football action. It went down last night.